Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mom's View. I'm Colette, this is Kaylee and Carly, and today we're going to do some Twitter questions. Unless we want to do more updates. You guys want to do more updates?
I think I told all my updates.
I have a funny story update.
Yes, tell.
It's about the OBGYN.
Oh, that's fun. That's my favorite place.
Is that OBGYN?
Yeah.
Why so many letters? VRX, just be like the doctor, you know? Or the V. I'm going the V doctor.
The V doctor. That's...
I guess there's more. Okay, anyways. So about that, we went in for our 14-week checkup, and I can never remember when they make you undress and when they don't. I feel like every doctor's a little different. Mm-hmm. And I know I just had Elliot, so I should remember, but I'm like, I don't think he's going to check me today. He ended up being like, yeah, we got to check you. I have a cyst. They found a cyst on my ovary. Everything's fine. But he wanted to feel around inside of there. This is a really long explanation.
Feel around.
Check everything out. It's like getting your oil changed. They want to look under the hood, make sure it's all good. Well-running machine. Anyway.
Go and get the oil changed again.
That's what I feel like. Put your legs up and pop up in the hood,
Sometimes you do when you're pregnant. You just feel fine, whatever.
Yeah, at this point. Anyways, I'm so sorry. If you've never been to the doctor, don't be scared. It's not that scary. And so he stepped out after he told me. He's like, hey, dress down. Who he says, from bottoms off. That's what he says, bottoms off. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm changing, and then I get a little sheeter on me, and I'm sitting and waiting. And the nurse pops her head in, and she's like, hey, we have a student going around on rounds today. Is it okay if he shadows the doctor? And I was like, he? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, And I look over at Jackson. I was like, no, but I don't want to hurt his feelings, but just tell him no. I feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Just so
one
vulnerable.
doctor's enough.
Yeah, it's just
down there.
It's not like a movie,
and it's
you
don't know who it is.
Yeah, just wait.
Oh,
so then, I'm like, no, not today. He comes into his thing, everything's great, we go to leave. I step out of the doctor's office and turn the corner, and I literally run right into my ex-boyfriend from high school. Right into
And it was him?
And I was like, hey, and he's like, oh, hey, Carly's just doing the rounds of the doctor today. And I was like, yeah, I know, I heard.
I'm
His
so glad
face
you said
goes
no.
red. My face goes red. Jackson's trying to assess the situation, and then we're stuck in this little tiny hallway because the doctor comes back and is talking to us. And so me and my ex are standing right next to each other, and then Jackson's right there, and I'm just like, get me out of here. And I just kept replaying it in my mind, what if I would have been like, yeah, it's fine, and he walks in, I would be like,
that would
not today, no, not today.
I changed my mind.
Not today. Get out of here. So then we're
my gosh.
checking out, and Jackson's like, why was that so awkward? And I was like, well,
That's
you
hilarious.
didn't get to see it in high school. He's definitely not seeing it now. 3 kids later, I'm like, not
happening.
I'm
That's
so
so
glad you said
funny.
no. That's the hard part about living in a smaller town.
Yeah, literally know everybody.
Yeah.
And I called my mom and I told her, and she thought that was the funniest story.
That's
So
a funny
hilarious.
story. That's one for the
So,
books.
So funny.
there's that little fun piece of golden nugget for you for the day. That was a good update.
That was a good update. I can't top that. Okay, so we're gonna go to Twitter questions.
Okay, so anyways.
Kaylee, you got
Segue
one?
out of that.
You got any stories?
I did have one embarrassing thing, but
Oh,
I'll
you
talk
do?
about it later.
I want to hear it.
Okay, I'll tell you guys too.
Story
I
time.
can't say that.
It
and
was
then say
also
I'm
at
not gonna
the
tell you.
OBGYN when I was pregnant with Layla. And at this doctor, they don't have you pee in a cup every time. So I kind of just forgot that you did that.
Yeah.
And I was craving asparagus.
Oh.
And I am not kidding. I ate it the whole entire week every day.
No
It's so good though when it's good. It's so good.
I love asparagus. And I got there and I had eaten it for breakfast. And she was like, we need you to pee in a cup. And I was like, what?
What?
So I did, and I peed in it, and I was like, "Yep, that smells like asparagus pee." So gross. And I walked out, and I was like, "I ate asparagus every single day this week and this morning." She was like, "It's okay."
That's so funny.
I'm sure they see so much worse, but
I'm sure, but it was so embarrassing. I was like, "Here's my stinky pee cup."
If you guys don't know,
please
if
don't
you
tell
didn't
anyone.
have never eaten asparagus, it makes your pee stink. I don't know
Immediately.
what it is.
Immediately.
somebody
But
said
it
though
does.
it's like a gene. Either you have the gene where it makes your pee stink or you don't.
Really?
That's what someone was
Yeah, I
telling me
was
the
like,
other day. That
that's
they didn't
interesting.
have it, so their pee
Jackson
doesn't-
was saying that.
Oh, it was Jackson.
He's lying.
yeah.
He's
He's
lying.
lying. I
I'm gonna
can
smell
smell
his pee next time. It probably stinks.
Anyways, so there's my
hilarious.
embarrassing one. Do you have one?
OB
I
stories.
can't think of any
Come on.
embarrassing OB stories yet. I will brainstorm and Okay, our first Twitter question comes from Sarah Buzza, and she asks advice for those struggling. Let's try that again. Advice for those struggling to find their passion in life and / or stuck in a job they hate, which gives them anxiety.
Oh man.
Any advice for those kind of people?
I feel like your passion develops through your life and you re-find your passion. Because even though I feel like I have the dream set up where we get to work from home and work with my family, I feel like some days it does feel like a job. And you just kind of have to re-find your passion. But I don't think you should ever give up on what you truly want to do. And I think those dead-end jobs or those jobs where you cringe and hate them, they should motivate you to get to that place where you get to do your dream job. And it might take a long time and a lot of hard work, but I remember before I signed with Maker, I was working my guts out, like literally 6 a.m. till 10 o'clock at night, feeling the same way. Like I'm working for no quality of life, just working to pay the bills and make ends meet. And you have to go through it, and it makes me, I remember back on those days and I'm like, okay, that should make me feel even more grateful for what I have now.
Right.
So hang on to it and let it fuel your passion to get where you want to be.
I was actually just talking to a family member who was telling me about their job, and it wasn't that they hated it, but they weren't being treated correct. And so that's hard to have passion towards your job, even if you do like it, if you're not being treated right.
Yeah.
And so I just think I wanted to say to them, like, you deserve better, like you should be doing this. But they also mentioned that they had been looking for another job and it was hard to find one.
Yeah.
They were like, they want these qualifications and they want this. And so it's not just like going and getting another job.
Right.
And so at that point I was like, I have nothing that I can give as far as advice other than just to listen and be there. And so this question, it stumps me because
Yeah.
it's a lot harder to get a job than maybe I realized, because I went to school right after I graduated from high school to do hair, which was a huge passion of mine. And then I was able to get a job and work really hard at that. And I loved it and I was passionate about it. So I feel like I was like naive to that. Like, well, just get a different job. And when they were saying like, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
And it made me sad, and it made me, I don't know, frustrated, because it's like, there's no way I can fix this. Like, how are they going to fix this? So I'm a little stumped by that question. And it makes me sad.
Yeah, I understand. I, my dad is one that I watched like live his whole life and just hate the job that he had. But, he was able to still work on his passion, music on the side. And now he does do music for a living, though he has to really, he really plans his money, and he's very smart about it, and like he's made it work for him. Like it's been a struggle and it's been difficult, but he's made it work, and he's still had that career and a business that has failed ultimately, but it was a family business, and so he stuck with it. But it was hard for me to watch him like really just feel stuck in that place, but then being able to see him still enjoying and loving and living his passion. I think it's hard because sometimes you aren't able to make a transition from, having your passion be your income.
Right.
And I think that's okay. But I also think if you're stuck in a job that gives you anxiety, maybe you're not going to be able to jump to the job of your dreams, but getting yourself out of a bad situation is maybe where you should try to make steps towards. And I don't know, it's hard to just be like, yeah, quit your job and go do something else. But, maybe putting your mind frame in a place of like faith and hope. Like I'm a firm believer that like the universe is for us. And like life can be for us if we have faith in it. And, maybe look for opportunities that could push you in a different direction, or maybe just be open to, what could I do that would get me out of this situation? Maybe it won't lead you to exactly what you want to do, but it will get you out of one situation and lead you to another one. Because I think back on Shay and I's, life together and the careers that he had. And I was really grateful to be able to stay at home a lot of the time, but I was a waitress, and, I didn't love it, but I tried to do the best I could at it. And, and I learned a lot from that. And I learned a lot about work ethic and about, really just going after what you want. And for Shay, he did have to do, he did get into some jobs that was like, this is not what we want. But looking back on the course of our life, like that job helped him get to a different point. And it's interesting because I think of one job in particular that we decided to like move to Utah to start like this MCN thing, and it was just like exciting, but then we get there and like it was way harder than we had planned for.
It was like, do this business, because we were doing it too.
Yeah.
But no one that lives around you actually can get this thing yet.
Right.
So no people in the world, but not where you live.
Someone when I was in New York gave me a card for this business.
They did?
It was a taxi driver.
That's crazy.
And I was
I didn't even know that still
I
existed.
didn't either. Yeah.
But anyways, we went to do this business. It totally failed. And it was like some of the hardest times in our relationship and in our, money-wise. Like we really, really, really struggled. And, he was able to get into a granite business, which was just like what he could find. And it wasn't what he wanted to do, but he continued to work hard at it. And then he was able to start his own. And he still was like, I don't want to do granite for my whole life, but if I'm going to do this job, I'm going to do the best I can.
Yeah.
And so he did. And then things happen and we were led into radio DJing and led to YouTube and all that stuff. But I don't know, it just makes me think that life is for you, and just have faith in that and do your best to get yourself into a situation, or at least a mind frame that is going to help you. Yeah.
I also think know your worth. That's something that I told my cousin when I was listening to them tell me the story. I was like, know your worth. You are worth more than this. Like you're worth more than being treated a certain way. And
Don't
know that
settle.
and stick up for yourself. And because they were also saying that they had a lot of anxiety with their job because of everything that was being put on them. Know your worth, because if you know your worth, people around you will know your worth.
Right.
Because if you take that, that stand like, no, I'm better than being treated like this. And I think even when you are doing a job that you're passionate about, sometimes it feels like, I am so lucky to be doing this job. This is how I felt when I did hair. I love this job. It is like a hobby for me. It's an out and it's my job and I love it. But I didn't know my worth, and I didn't expect people to pay me what I was worth.
Yeah.
So it was still a job. So I just think no matter what, know your worth and stand up for that.
Yeah.
I pulled out my phone. I wasn't playing on it, I swear, when you guys were talking. But that reminds me, like exactly what you guys were saying. It reminds me of a quote, and it's by Jim Rowe. I believe in personal development. No matter what job you're in, and it's like how I coach my team, my Senna Gents team. Like, you have to, no matter what job you're in or what you're doing, even if you're a stay-at-home mom or you're not in a job, I think personally every day you have to work on yourself. Like 10 minutes a day, you have to develop yourself and become your best self. And this quote, it's from the book, The Miracle Morning, which I've been listening to and I love it, but it's by Jim Rohn. He said, your level of success will rarely exceed your levels of personal development, because success is something you attract by the person you become. I'm like, that's so true.
good.
Like what you were saying and what you're saying, like you need to know your worth, and you need to like be in that mind frame of attracting success and attracting like that next step in your life. Because those hard food service jobs, I remember when I was a waitress and I was a single mom, it was the hardest job I've ever had. You work your butt off when you're in the food service industry, and you don't make the money you deserve, but how can you truly appreciate where you get to where you want to be if you didn't struggle, or you didn't fail, or you didn't go through those hard times? Because then I feel like you truly appreciate that dream job or that place that you arrive at where you want to be.
Yeah.
So work on you every day and develop like your best self. And I think that that's when success starts finding you.
That is true. Success will find you.
Yes, believe it.
I love it.
Is there a doTERRA oil for that?
Yes. I'll buy you one.
Okay, this one comes from Amy Louise Shields, something like that. At what age would you start to let your children stay at a boyfriend or girlfriend's house?
Never.
Like stay the night?
Yeah.
You guys should answer
I guess.
first. I get in trouble when I answer because I don't have a teenager.
I said never.
I don't have a teenager.
I say never. I say that's just a recipe for disaster.
I'm not a believer in sleepovers at all.
Yeah, we don't do
that's-
sleepovers at all.
So that's easy rule. Like family, like you guys are the only exceptions that we do sleepovers. I know what my friends did at sleepovers and what kind of trouble they got into, and it's just like a recipe for mischievous behavior.
I remember thinking the kids that couldn't have sleepovers, like, oh, that's so sad and so weird that they can't have sleepovers, and now we're like, no sleepovers.
We're so sad and so
I know, I
weird.
was like the only one. My mom would never let me, but I was never the one who got in trouble or grounded because my friends were getting into naughty things. So That's just I think that's an easy rule, and then that way you don't have to determine like girlfriends, boyfriends, whoever. Nope, no sleepovers.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I know when I was a little bit older, I had a boyfriend. It wasn't Casey, but a different boyfriend. So I was 15. And we went camping, and he got to come with me. And he did stay in the trailer, I guess.
You're trying to remember.
I can't even
Like,
remember.
I don't
Nothing
know.
bad happened. Like, he slept in one area and I slept in another,
Yeah.
and that was fine. And then I also remember one time that I was dating Casey. He was graduated. I was like a junior, and I came up to Pocatello and I stayed the night, but again in like separate bedrooms, and nothing bad was happening.
I want to have that relationship with my
hard.
kids where like when they do get a serious boyfriend or girlfriend, like I want them to feel a part of our family and we have this like open thing, but I do think you have to help your kids establish boundaries.
Yeah.
I mean, teenagers are so horny.
It's true.
It's great. It's a great thing about being a teenager, but like it's so hard as a parent because you want to direct them in the right way without making the decisions for them, but you want to give them the knowledge and the education to make a healthy relationship. And that age is
Right.
just so young, and there's so many emotions, and they change like so like day to day. Like they love this person this day, and then this day it's like the next. And I just think as a mom, you have to like cultivate a healthy environment so they trust you and they want to bring their girlfriend or boyfriend over. But you also have to remember at the end of the day, you're the parent and you set the boundaries.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that maybe this is something that may change with time. I don't know. My parents were very strict with me, like very, very strict, especially when it came to boys. Like obviously they knew that things can happen.
Obviously, they knew Casey Butler.
Because me. But I don't know. So I guess like maybe things would change because my parents were very good, very strict parents, but they did let me have sleepovers.
And I think it also depends on what you believe in. Like, what are your fundamental beliefs, and like, how do you feel about sex and intimacy
Yeah.
and your kids being intimate? Like, I think people feel differently about that.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't want
I
to
think
bet.
that's where the question,
Yeah.
like that's where it boils down to. It's like, well, what are you teaching your kids is like, okay, at what ages?
Yeah.
And that's,
But I mean, I definitely was not having sex or anything when
Yeah.
we were having sleepovers. So then
Right.
there's that, like, that wouldn't have even crossed my mind to be like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna sneak into his bed in the trailer.
We're gonna have a good time. I worry about other things. Like, I just worry about guilty by association. Like, maybe you're like, because I want to assume my kids are gonna make the best decisions. I know my kids are gonna make mistakes, but I know I was around people who maybe I wasn't making the bad decisions, but they were getting into trouble, and it's like, I want to also prevent those situations. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe your kids aren't doing anything wrong, but they're at the wrong place at the wrong time, and that could be a scary thing.
You don't want to make it easier for your kids.
Yeah.
I know
Our
it's,
job is to make it harder.
it's a fine line because like you don't want to make it so hard that they just feel
Sneak.
so repressed or whatever
Yeah.
that they have to sneak around. But you also, I don't know, I think there's a lot to say for giving kids the responsibility. Like you let them know all the truth. You let them know all the consequences. And I mean, obviously there's some kids that are going to learn by hearing it, and there's some kids that are going to learn by experiencing it.
Yeah.
And you just have to know like what boundaries you need to set. But I don't know. It's so hard.
You know what's
I mean,
kinda-
I would just say no. Like, there's no way you're gonna do that.
I know,
Yeah.
like, I don't even have to
Sorry.
think about it because Casey would be like, no.
Heck no.
Heck no, your boyfriend's not staying. And I keep thinking of it as Braylee, and then like it's easier for me with Braylee to put myself in her situation. And I think Braylee is a good girl and she's smart, and I feel like we've had this really open relationship, and I would hope that she would feel like no matter what she would come to me, because I've said like, I know you'll mess up.
Yeah.
I know that will happen or might happen. I hope you don't, but I know that it could. I'll understand. And so I hope that she would come to me, but it's easy for me to be like, I trust her, you know, I
fine.
understand. But then I think of like my boys bringing their girlfriends.
I know I feel the same. I'm like, well, because I feel like
You
these
stay away from my
days-
son.
That's funny. I feel that way with all the kids.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, none of you are good enough for my kids, so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
so sorry.
I tell Jackson this from day one. I'm like, I want to be the fun mom, but the mom where it's like, if my kids' friends messed up, or I just want our house to be this place of like everyone comes to hang out. Everyone trusts and knows us. The parents know and trust us. Like, just a safe, healthy environment.
Yeah.
You know, like they want to have parties at our house. They want to have sleepovers at our house. That's fine, because then I know what my kids are doing. I learned about their friends. I think that's a really good philosophy to have as a mom.
Yeah.
You
Like
know?
you should know who they're hanging out
Yeah,
with.
100%. And know their friends and know what their friends are like and their parents. And then you build this community of like raising your kids together, essentially. Because then
Yeah.
if you get to know your kids' moms, then they know where you come from and what you allow in your house, what you don't. And hopefully they respect you and keep the same rules when your kids are there.
Right.
So,
I think it's hard. What I've noticed is I've always had rules that I feel like I want to stick by with my kids. Like, you know, I don't necessarily want them wandering around or doing this,
Yeah.
but then all of their friends are, and it's hard to feel like you're the one that's like, you can't do that.
yeah.
It's really hard. It's a balance, and like I said, I don't know if I could really answer this question until the time comes.
I know. Well, and just because I feel like I don't have a teenager doesn't mean my mind's not there, you know?
Yeah.
Because Cooper's 10, but they're kind of getting, he brought up the word crush the other day, and I was like, what'd you say? It was really cute how I said it. I won't share the story. He'd get embarrassed, but he did say, my crush, and I was like, what? You're what? You're what again? Okay.
I know.
Deep
It's
breaths.
exciting. It's exciting to see them
Yeah.
growing up like that.
It is.
But it's also like, well, you know, they're human, and we went through that phase of life, so it's like I'm trying to be not stressed out about it, but just take it one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said,
Also-
maybe I won't even know until that comes, because
Yeah.
every kid's different, every situation's
Right.
different.
It's a situation. that
Number one rule when the kids say, yeah, I talked to their mom, they're going to be home.
they didn't.
They didn't.
Just
Call
and
the
make sure.
parent no matter what. That's like, I feel like a bottom line rule for me. Even if Cooper's like, yeah, I'm staying the night at Kaylee's house, I would text him like, yo, you home? You
Yeah.
watching them? They good? Okay,
Is
we
this
good.
true? This is really happening.
Yeah. You're like, what? They're having a party. I'm
I know.
not
What? I thought they
home.
were at your house.
I know.
Oh,
I always
so
have to
little.
have my kids. Did you actually talk to their parents about this? Did you ask them? Did she ask her mom? Well, not yet, but
Yeah,
I'm
I'm sure it's fine.
Okay, our next one comes from Tessa Johns. You're also supportive of each other. I find that as young women, we can be competitive with our friends. How do you keep up the supportive quality of your friendship? Love
with
you,
each,
ladies.
just with each other.
With each other.
We
I like this
secretly
question.
fight off camera.
We hate each
Yeah.
other.
We pull hair.
We're not even friends.
We punch each other in the throat.
Carly and I definitely leave Colette out all of the time.
We plan things. We're like, let's not tell Colette. And I cry
Don't
about
Colette,
it.
let's go here. That's a comment we get all the time. Like,
No, I'm like, we're screwed no
not
matter
do
what
that.
we do.
I feel so left out.
I think when you really love somebody and like you genuinely want the best for them. And Gabby Bernstein posted something about judgment on her Instagram last night, and I loved it. It was saying, when we judge others, it's coming from a place that we haven't healed from. Like when we are allowed to judge others. So I think that's the same thing with success. Like if you can't be happy for someone's success, maybe you're judging yourself from a corner of your soul or inside of you that you haven't healed from or that you're wanting for yourself. And so I don't know, like when I see you guys get brand deals or like succeeding, I'm genuinely happy for you. Sometimes I'm like, it's motivation for me. Like, okay, like she's doing it, I can do it too. Like get your butt into gear, Carly. Get off the couch, get out of your sweatpants, put a bra on and go after the day, you know? But I think
wear a bra.
I know. Well,
It's overrated.
when you nurse kids, your bra, it's a little more obvious. You're like, do you have 2 pairs of knees or put your boobs down there? Anyways, so I love that they have great boobs and I'm not jealous for them.
yeah, you should be jealous of this situation.
But I do, don't you? Like when you really
agree.
love somebody, you want the best things for them. And it's not a place of, gosh, you know?
I also think we're family, and so you work harder on those relationships. If you are feeling that way, then it does make you step back and think, why am I feeling this way?
Yeah.
Like I would only want the best for both of you.
Right.
Ever, ever, ever. I would do anything for either of you. So if I'm ever feeling like, oh, then I know it's not them, it's just me. And you work hard. If you want a good relationship with someone, you have to work.
Yeah.
Every relationship takes work, and even if it's just work on yourself.
Yeah,
It doesn't mean
that's
like
true.
you have to work through things together, because I don't feel like we've ever gotten to like any fights or
place,
anything
yeah.
where
I
it's,
don't feel like we have.
and if we did, I know we would talk about it,
Yeah.
or I would not ever sleep. You know, I think the same with my sisters. Someone made a comment to my mom once and said, I can't believe that your girls never fight. And
Your
my
mom
mom
was
was like, what? And I think it's just having respect and love. Like, I don't want to be around you guys and fight. That
Yeah.
sounds terrible.
waste of time.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just think knowing the value of your relationship and working on it.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know, when I heard this question, I immediately thought of like teenage girls, because I know that like my girls are getting to that age where they do kind of have, you know, they have quarrels with friends, or they have maybe little trust issues with friends. And I thought about that, and I think it's a work in progress. It always is, like friendship is. And sometimes you do have those times where you, I don't know, maybe you fall out of friendship with one friend. I don't know. I think that for me, having an attitude of like, I don't know, abundance is the right word. Because I know I've definitely felt jealousy. I've definitely felt those moments where I was like, oh. And now I feel like I know enough about myself that I know that it is coming from a place of me. Like even just this weekend, I saw somebody that I hadn't seen for years. And it was like, I immediately judged that person. I immediately looked at them and be like, oh, I wonder what they're doing now, you know, and just like.
That's so hard to believe coming from Colette.
Well, but then my mind was like, I immediately was like, Colette, really? You know, like my mental conscious, my little cricket on my shoulder is a
Jiminy.
little bit quicker now than it was back in high school and middle school. So I think it's something that you just kind of develop, and you do learn the value of friendship. And I think one important thing is just being able to be vulnerable and real. You know, I had a couple conversations with my daughters about, you know, situations with their friends, and I think, you know, you just have to tell them how you feel. And back when I was that age, I was like, no way I'm gonna tell them how I feel. Like, that's hard. Like, I don't want them to know that I feel this way. But I think that there's a lot of value in just being able to be like, you know, that really bothered me that you said that.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're younger, or even just now, it's hard to just speak up and be like, that hurt my feelings. And sometimes you have to look at yourself and be like, why did that hurt? Is that something that I can take care of, or is that something that I do need to address with this person? So just being really super self-reflective and honest,
Yeah.
not only with yourself, but with your friends, because it's, you know, friendship is valuable. You know, I have I have 3 friends that I am really close with, but we fell out of friendship not really fell out of friendship, but out of contact. And we just got back together, and it just feels like these are the kind of friends that it doesn't matter how long you go, you can always just be open and just laugh, and it just feels so real. But it takes time to develop that.
Yeah.
So I don't know, be patient and always be working on yourself.
Yeah. And these guys know all my secrets, so
Whatever. I also think like I don't know, it was like the last 5 years became like more of this thing to like compliment others. You know, when I was younger, I never would have thought to do that. But I feel like if you're feeling jealous, I think a good remedy for that is to compliment somebody when you're feeling that way, because it just goes to show that other people can be great around you, and it doesn't have to take away from you. And I've had to learn that the hard way, because I'm super hard on myself all the time, no matter what I do. And so I feel like by allowing myself to build others up, it actually has built me up, because other people can be great around you without it being competition or taking away from you. And I think that that's a hard thing to learn, especially when you're young. But we all have something to offer, and we all have something beautiful and great about us. And pointing that out in others only helps us point that out in ourselves, you know?
that's a good point. You're good at that.
So when I watch Victoria's Secret models, I'm like, I look like that too.
Like, nice body. Mine looks awesome too.
Yeah, I got that going on too. And if anything, you can just find humor in it, you know, and just laugh about it. It's my like remedy for everything. Just laugh.
Yeah.
Just laugh
Find
about
something
it.
funny about it.
I love it. Well, thank you guys. That is all the questions we had. We had a lot more questions. That's not true.
We'll answer more next week.
We can talk
Yeah.
for us.
All right. Thank you guys. Leave us in the. Leave.
Tacky tacky. Bye.
Yeah. Please just. That's it. No, I'm just kidding.
We should have like that. Okay, bye.
Some days are just like that. All right, you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.